Welcome to the U.S. latest news channel. Watch the video to the end to find out the current and breaking news about the Russian war in Ukraine. United States President Joe Biden appeared on CNN television and answered questions. The statement made by the United States of America Joe Biden consists of quite striking statements. If we examine the picture in detail and consider it, even though the whole world is thinking about the last steps that Russia will take in the Russia-Ukraine crisis, strong countries such as the United States, Great Britain, and Germany are not holding back from helping Ukraine. Joe Biden made it clear that Russian President Vladimir Putin is considering not opting for nuclear weapons, stressing that he considers Russian President Vladimir Putin's statements on the use of nuclear weapons to be quite irresponsible and unnecessary. If we consider and examine other assumptions, Russian President Vladimir Putin may decide to freeze the war completely by signing important decisions to seize full control over the territory of Ukraine. In addition, it should be especially stated and expressed that the whole world is wondering when the tension between Russia and Ukraine will end. December. In addition, both Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky are closely watching which pawns they will play to end the war, and then which country's leader will be the victorious side at the table. According to other reports, the hot tension between Russia and Ukraine will be found with the last big move to be made by one side, and the last is among the issues that are being put on the table. December. In addition, another visible part of the war is that although Russia is actually increasing its pressure on Ukraine to fight with all its might, the war on the Ukrainian front is not yet seen as lost. It is at this point that Ukrainian President Zelensky's moves against Russia are being wondered by the whole world with a very big focus of attention. In addition, the meetings, negotiations, agreements, and plans that the leaders of both countries will hold may disrupt or change all balances. In particular, it should be stated that although Russian President Vladimir Putin has decided to concentrate his entire army on Ukraine and declare a military mobilization, the Ukrainian people, who remain in Ukraine and remain determined not to migrate to other countries, continue to resist. It is precisely at this point that a possible Russian leader Vladimir Putin's point may change the balance. In addition, it should be emphasized that as long as Ukraine does not resist and lose its territory to Russian soldiers, the probability that Zelenksy and his army may be the winner is quite high. After Russia's attack on Ukraine, the UK reported that it was sending weapons to Ukraine for the purpose of defending itself against Russia. British Defence Minister Ben Wallace has sent British troops and long-range anti-missile weapons in several groups to Ukraine. Thanks to this important support from the UK, the Ukrainian army has found some strength. Russia and the Ukraine crisis 8. In line with the news received while taking the place on the moon, quite critical developments occurred. Ukrainian intelligence has prevented the Russian provocation against Baykar CEO Haluk Bayraktar. Especially after the decision of the Ukrainian intelligence to prevent the Russian provocation against Baykar CEO Haluk Bayraktar, the balances began to change. According to other information received, Russian intelligence agencies have received information that he tried to use deep decoy technology to create a fake video, among other information received. The Russian-Ukrainian crisis is still showing its effect and continuing. It is already a matter of curiosity how the leaders of both countries will follow a path in the future. The Ukrainian-Russian war, which is shown as one of the most talked about events of the last century, continues to occupy the agenda with different issues now. In recent days, while Russia has been talking about the support it has received from different countries and the training of Ukrainian soldiers by Western forces, it has now begun to be claimed that different countries are involved in the war. According to the allegations, Russia will soon support different countries and strike different regions of Ukraine. At this point, millions of people are facing the situations experienced by three. They also continue to express concern about World War II. Millions of people are now looking forward to the latest developments in the Ukrainian-Russian war. While the latest developments in the Russia-Ukraine war continue to surprise every day, bombshell claims continue to come on behalf of different countries now. The latest development put forward at this point took place on a Belarusian basis, and the news was spread by Belarus that Ukraine would strike their own country. At this point, the Belarusian Foreign Ministry handed a note to the Ukrainian ambassador in Minsk irkzym, indicating that Ukraine is making different plans on Belarus. Alarmed at this point, the Belarusian Defense Ministry immediately launched a nationwide mobilization, raising the armament situation to the highest level. The news that Ukraine will strike Belarus is now being decried as one of the hottest developments in the Ukrainian-Russian war, while a statement on the subject was made by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. According to the statement, it was emphasized that Ukraine has no other thoughts but to liberate its own territory, while the Ukrainian army has never taken part in an occupying position for the territory of different countries. At this point, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry stated that the statements made by the Belarusian Foreign Ministry were completely manipulative, while also stating that Belarus was trying to exonerate Russia. Now, millions of civil citizens and global journalists have begun to look forward to what kind of response Russia and Belarus will give after the statements from Ukraine. Millions of people who were shocked by the recent statements by the Belarusian Foreign Ministry that Ukraine would attack them had their eyes and ears on the statements from Ukraine. Finally, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry broke its silence and stated that big games were being played by Belarus so that Russia could be exonerated of war crimes. At this point, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry said in a statement, "This information, announced by Belarus, absolutely does not coincide with reality. We categorically reject all the allegations made by the Belarusian regime." The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine is aware that the note delivered by Belarus is part of a provocation so that the Russian Federation can further accuse Ukraine. "We never ruled that out decisively," statements were used. The claim that Ukraine will attack them, which has now been put forward by Belarus, has been sharply criticized by the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry, while it has been stated that the issue is purely aimed at provocation. Moreover, Ukraine stated that the note given was used to justify Russia, while the Belarusian people also wanted to be brought to a galley. The Ukrainian diplomatic institution, which stated its new statements on the issue, appealed to the Belarusian people and urged them not to succumb to provocations and propaganda. At this point, the Ukrainian authorities, who said that their goal was to completely protect their own territory, explained that they had no problems with the Belarusian people. At this point, the Ukrainian diplomatic institution said in a statement, "Ukraine has never attempted invasion movements by entering the territory of different countries. We are firmly committed to international law and UN norms and principles." "We also advise the Belarusian people not to heed the provocations made by the government," he used expressions. One of the hottest agenda items of recent days, Belarus' note on the attack against Ukraine, also caused different issues to arise. According to the latest information received, it became clear that Belarus began supplying various weapons the day before they announced that they were worried that Ukraine would attack their country. At this point, it was also announced through official channels that various munitions had been introduced into the country. According to the latest information, Belarusian Defense Minister Viktor Krenin has started the process of procurement of new weapons called Iskander SRBM and S-400 SAM. In addition, the Ministry of Defense of Belarus recently held a conference with the title Presentation of Unmanned Combat Systems. It was stated that all the events that took place at this point were preparations by Belarus for a threat to them from Ukraine. Since the day when it was alleged by Belarus that Ukraine was going to attack them, the activities carried out by the Belarusian Defense Ministry began to gain momentum. It is now known that new weapons and air defense systems have been received throughout the country, while it has been stated that the weapons taken to the Ukrainian border have been deployed. At this point, it was noted that Belarus had reactivated the Luminets air base by preparing it against the threat to Ukraine. The S-400 battalion was lined up on the Ukrainian border, and several radars in the Zayabrovka airspace were used against Ukraine. It was also announced that the Osapovichi district, 180 kilometers from the Alexandria SRBM battalion, was also replenished with soldiers. In addition, according to statements made by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, it was stated that some military activities were recorded in Belarus in late September and increased mobility in border areas. This situation once again revealed that Ukraine, in addition to Russia, also faces the threat of Belarus. Belarusian State Minister Alexander Lukashenko, who recently held a meeting with the country's military branch, made important statements that they are under threat from Ukraine. The head of state reported that the intelligence they have received for the time being is progressing in the direction of an attack, while also explaining that the necessary measures have been taken on the subject and various armaments have taken place. In a statement after a meeting with the military branch of your country, Alexander Lukashenko said that for now there is no need to declare any mobilization, and for now Ukraine knows that they will not declare a war against them. However, Alexander Lukashenko, who expressed that he still asked his people to be cautious, also stressed that it is necessary to be ready for mobilization. In addition, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko also confirmed that they were on the side of Russian soldiers during the war, and a certain number of soldiers from their own country joined the Russian troops. Now millions of people are looking forward to the new statements to be made by Belarus. The Russia-Ukraine war, which is now shown as one of the most focal points of the global media, continues to have a great impact on social media with different topics. At this point, while it is known that the violence of the war is over, the statements made by Belarus on the platforms in recent days have caused a scene. Some users thought that Ukraine could really be a threat to Belarus in the future, while others expressed that Belarus was attempting a conspiracy to exonerate Russian forces. In addition, many people interpreted the Belarusian armament efforts as considering Ukraine a threat. In addition, many people from our country did not delay deciphering the new developments between Belarus and Ukraine in different sentences. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to be informed of the developments at the speed of light.